A few weeks ago on a Friday, I was at home with my wife, Jenny, and my 5-year-old son. So I went upstairs to take a shower, and then my wife went just a few houses down to take something to one of our neighbors. So before she left, Jenny, she tells our son that she is going to leave the house, and she gives him some pretty specific instructions. 1, she says, Dad is upstairs taking a shower if you need something. 2, do not leave the house for any reason. 3, she told him that she was going to a neighbor's house to drop something off and that she would be right back. So, of course, as soon as I get done taking my shower, I hear this faint cry. And so I rush downstairs to see what's going on. I follow the sound of the crying, and I notice that our back door was unlocked. So I go in the backyard and I yell out my son's name, but there is no answer. But I keep following the sound of the cry and notice that the gate from our fence in the backyard is open. And so I go out to the front yard, and there I find my son crying on the driveway. Now, as calm as I possibly can be, I ask him, "What are you doing?" And he says something like this: "I was afraid. I didn't know where Mommy went, and I couldn't find you, so I ran. I ran because I was scared." Have you ever ran because of fear? Maybe for you, if you saw a snake, you would run because of your fear. Or maybe you would run away out of fear if you encountered a spider. Maybe for you, you would run away in fear if there was a fire. For me, I had an unhealthy fear of dogs as a child, an unhealthy fear of dogs. When I was very young, we got a dog. And then one day, soon after we got the dog, we were playing in the backyard, and then the grandson of our next door neighbors, he came over to play with us. Now, unfortunately, this young boy, he was about my size. And he decided to throw a ball at our dog. And immediately the dog pounced on this young boy and he bit him. The very next day, our dog decided to bite me because I reminded him of the other young boy. Because of this, we actually gave our dog to my grandparents who lived out in the country. However, the very next time that I came to visit my grandparents, this dog jumped on me as soon as I got out of the car. For several months after that, whenever I saw a dog, I would run because I was afraid. I would run away because I was afraid. I think it's safe to say that each and every one of us runs out of fear. But I'm not talking about physically running away from something or maybe someone, but rather running away from things in your life that scare you, that truly matter. Have you ever run from a relationship out of fear, even though you know that you shouldn't have? Maybe with a spouse, child, parent, or friend. Have you ever run from a situation that was so difficult you just didn't want to deal with it? Maybe somebody hurt you, so you just wanted to escape this situation, even though you know you should have stayed and faced it. What are you running away from that you should actually be running towards? Why are you running? Why are you running? There was a man named Jonah who decided to run. Jonah was asked to go one way, and he decided to go completely in a different direction. Jonah wanted to escape what he was supposed to do. So Jonah, he decides actually to go get on a boat. He decides to get out of Dodge. But while on the boat, a huge storm comes, and the men that were with him on the boat, they decide to throw him overboard because they believe that he was actually the cause for the storm. Now, it's likely that you have probably heard about Jonah before. If you have, then you probably know what happens next, right? Jonah is actually swallowed by this huge fish. Out of his fear, Jonah ran from what he knew he needed to do. If you've never read the story of Jonah, you can find this account in the Bible. And there you'll actually see that Jonah is actually running from God. He's running from God out of fear. Jonah was running away from God when he should have been running towards him. Are you running away from God? If so, I'd love for you to think about a couple of things with me. First of all, I'd like you to think about this, that God is actually chasing after you. God is chasing after you. Jonah thought that he could actually flee the presence of the Lord, but God continually ran after Jonah. In fact, it was God who brought the storm to get Jonah's attention and let Jonah know that he couldn't actually escape God. Second, God wants you to run to him. God wants you to run to him. All that he asks is that you just stop running and turn to him. And all of those mistakes that you've made, all of the bad choices that you made, all the ways in which you have hurt him or maybe hurt others, he'll forgive you of those things. God forgives. If you stop running and turn to God, he will forgive you for running away from him. And the fear that's actually causing you to run, you can give that fear to God as well. If you don't know how God can forgive you, or maybe you just don't understand what this would even begin to look like, then let me just take a moment and tell you. God made a way for you to be forgiven through Jesus. You see, God is a just God, and so there must be punishment for disobedience. But the payment for that disobedience, it had to be paid with a perfect sacrifice. And since you and me, since we're not perfect, God sent his son Jesus to actually be that sacrifice. In fact, Jesus would die so that you might be forgiven. All God asks of you is that you stop running and turn to Jesus. Enter into a relationship with Jesus. We read in the book of Jonah that Jonah finally turned to God and finally obeyed what God wanted him to do. He stopped running. Maybe today you feel like Jonah and you've spent your entire life running. Maybe you're terrified, just like my son was. You feel alone, and so you just keep running. Well, if you want to stop running, well, we would love to help you do just that. In fact, it's as simple as texting the word CONNECT to 812-432-2234. Again, just text the word CONNECT to 812-432-2234. Once again, thank you so much for joining us today at Graceland Online. And if you've enjoyed this message, please be sure to subscribe to this channel and then make sure that you hit the like button on this episode. We want to make sure you get each and every one of these. And if you know someone that could benefit from this message, I would just ask you to take a moment, share this episode with them. Just simply click the word share there on your screen. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we hope to see you again next week.